Welcome to the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hicks Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
We are broadcasting live from Western Union Business Solutions Headquarters Office in Washington, D.C.
Joining us as a guest on the show is Jens Buckler.
Mr. Buckler is currently the Director of Operations for America's region.
Mr. Buckler would become Western Union Business Solutions back in 1999 with the company called Roos International.
Yen had always been interested in international trade and majored in government and international studies at the University of South Carolina.
And also later attended George Mason University to pursue his MA in International Commerce and Policy.
Working in foreign exchange and payments seemed a natural direction as it placed his right at the business end of international trade.
Mr. Yen, thank you for joining us today.
Well, my pleasure.
Talk to us about your global buyer seller payments network. What is it and how does it work?
Well, at Western Union Business Solutions, we actually have a network of accounts all around the world. So in some of those cases, we're connected to the local clearing network, which is sort of the local payment network within that country. What that means for our clients is that we can deliver payments more quickly and with less fees being deducted than our competition. So that's very important in terms of our clients are typically paying payroll, paying for bills, paying for products to be shipped. So satisfying their suppliers or their employees or whomever they owe funds to is very important. If a payment's delivered late or with fees taken out, that obviously harms that relationship.
Why is it important for Western Union Business Solutions to be on the cutting edge of technology?
That's a good question. I think that's important because for us it's very important to anticipate the next needs that our clients have. There's a number of things we're working on right now, but what we've been rolling out in the last year is a platform called Edge. This actually enables clients to not only pay their bills, but they actually can actively communicate with their payees, and invoices, for example, can be submitted back and forth across the system, and that makes kind of settling those invoices a lot more efficient for them. It's very important for us to be on the cutting edge because we obviously, like every industry, we have competition, and we want to make sure we're at the head of that. So,
what can a client expect from Western Union Business Solutions financial specialists?
From our financial specialists, they can actually expect an expert in foreign exchange. So what that means is we don't expect our clients to be necessarily experts in foreign currencies, but we are, and that's why they do business with us. A client can call up one of our specialists and obviously get a view on what the market's doing, what that means to them, and the bills that they have to pay, and obviously what strategies they can use in light of what's going on in the market.
Thank you.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream,
The District Knowledge Network,
and the Capitol Hill Community Foundation.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hicks Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
And have a great day.
Yep. Appreciate it. Thanks. Give me a lefty.
Welcome to the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hicks Jones.
And I'm your host, Christian Johnson.
We are broadcasting live from Western Union Business Solutions Headquarters Office in Washington, D.C.
Joining us today is Scott Murphy.
Scott Murphy. For 17 years, Mr. Nelson has been managing for foreign currency and payment needs for a portfolio of companies.
Either for Western Union or its producer entities.
Mr. Nelson's customers are a mix of large corporations, non-governmental organizations, and small to medium-sized businesses encompassing a range of industries.
Scott has very instrument and orchestra Western Union's participation in the DCPS Adopt a School program.
Hello, Mr. Scott Murphy.
Hi there. It's Scott Murphy Nielsen.
Oh yeah.
Scott Murphy. How does Western Union Business Solutions help clients manage the risk of international trade?
Well, clients who have international trade, they go into business and they have international customers who are buying product, or they're buying product, or making some sort of exchange. And from the time that they negotiate the product or the service to the time that they pay it, because of the fact that they're dealing with different currencies that don't stay uniform of value to each other, there's a risk. So they might buy something one day, and when they get ready to pay it, they find that the price is a whole lot higher than they thought it was going to be, because the currency pair has changed value. So one of the ways that we are able to help our customers who have international trade is to help them manage the volatility of that currency market, so they can, for example, perhaps lock in a block of currency at a known rate of exchange, so that when they are ready to make their payments later on, they can pull from that and they know exactly what they're paying for.
Talk to us about your global buyer-seller payment network. What is it and how does it work?
Well, the global buyer-seller payment network, it's kind of like a social network for buyers and sellers. So you know how, I don't know that you use Facebook, that's what I use. And on Facebook, you've got your friends and you can message them and communicate with them. It's comparable to that, in that buyers have and sellers have a community, an online community on a platform that exists just for the purpose of communicating about their business dealing, so they can share invoices. So if you're selling something to me, you can send me an invoice on the platform, and I can receive that invoice and say, this is wrong. I'm buying 5 units, not 4. So I communicate that back to you, and we can keep that conversation on the platform, and that is the type of correspondence you can have with the buyer-seller relationship. And what the community does is it opens up buyers and sellers to other parties that they might not already be in business with, so that they can search for sellers of a certain widget, or buyers of a trip to Japan, or they can look for friends, as it were, that they could do business with.
Does that still happen very often?
Well, we are really at the very leading edge of creating this platform, the buyer-seller network. So time is going to tell. But we are ramping it up with a subset of our customer base, and we're getting them familiar. We're getting them to broaden the network with vendors that they already do business with. And as those relationships deepen and grow, then we'll be able to kind of cross-pollinate and have industry segments, so that a buyer can go onto the network and look for a seller in a certain industry, and then reach out to them and say, I'm looking for this, can you provide it?
Why is it important for you to allow your customers to connect and transact globally through Woo Edge?
Woo Edge is the platform that features this buyer-seller network. So that is our new payment platform, and that is what we are using to kind of bring these products and services that we've been offering our customers for many years to the current technological landscape, and that is that's the wave that we're on. Yeah.
Mr. Nelson, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
This broadcast has been brought to you by Eliot Hine TV on Ustream
And the District Knowledge Network.
and the Capitol Hill Community Foundation.
I'm your host, Christian Johnson.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hughes Jones, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Let me stop.
Welcome to the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hughes Jones.
We are broadcasting live from Western Union's Business Solutions headquarters office in Washington, D.C.
Joining us today on the show is Stephanie
Resch.
Miss Resch, thank you for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure.
Talk to us about your global buyer sellers payment network. What is it and how does it work?
So what we have is we allow customers to come to us to make payments. So take as an example, let's assume that you're Walmart and you have global customers throughout the world that you buy things from. And what you want to be able to do is pay the bills. So you've gone out, you've bought some sort of item from them, and now you need to pay them for the item that they've shipped you. You can use Western Union to make those payments for you. And assuming that you bought these items in different countries, we also offer a variety of currencies throughout the world. So you can make those payments. I believe we do about 130 different currencies, and you can make those payments anywhere. So let's assume that you bought computer parts from Germany, or you bought car parts from, I don't know, Japan. Those are things that you could go ahead and pay.
How do you meet the needs of your customers?
Well, from my side, my customers are the product team or the infrastructure team. So in project management, you really have two particular areas that you work with. The first one is infrastructure. You have a lot of computer systems that have to be up and running in order for these transactions to go through. You know, we do hundreds of thousands of transactions, and those transactions obviously sit on a computer system with a database. And so part of our projects are infrastructure. The database, you know, has been upgraded by the vendor, whether it be Oracle or Microsoft, and we have to make those upgrades to the system. A lot of times your hardware, just like your iPhone or your iPad, or if you have an Android device, after 2 or 3 years, they're sort of out of date. I mean, how many people have flip phones still? Nobody. And the same thing is true in a corporate industry like we are. Those things change. So that's one set of projects that we work on, which is the infrastructure projects, the upgrading of both the hardware and the software to bring it up to date to whatever the manufacturer is currently supporting. The other side of the coin that we do is we do product type projects or compliance projects. And these are where we have to create new software for the product team. So let's assume the product team's decided that they've got a brand new idea for us to be able to sell a product that they think will be very successful. They'll give us a laundry list of requirements. We'll give them sort of like a bid, if you want to say, or we'll tell them how much it's going to cost. We'll give them a budget, and we'll say, for us to develop this, it's going to take 6 weeks, and it's going to cost $100,000. So you need to go, you know, be able to sell this to the executive so that they'll give us the money for us to be able to do this product. And they'll go out and do that. So my customer are the stakeholders or the product team or the infrastructure team or the compliance team. So I also have compliance plays a huge role at Western Union. Probably a differentiator for us in the fact that we are very compliant in everything we do. So if you're sending a payment to a foreign country, and, you know, there are a lot of people that are on certain lists and we're not allowed to send those payments to them. So that's one of the things we do, is to make sure that whoever's getting the payments is a person that's authorized to have payments, and that's one of our things we do. We also have to do a lot of reporting to the government on the different type of compliance reporting that we do.
Do you tend to help people when they're the process of getting the money? Do you tend to help them?
No, I don't. I'm not in that role. So I'm project management. I'm strictly on the internal side. So I'm not on sales, nor does anybody on my team take any phone calls from any customers. So IT pretty much is isolated from the customer service centers.
What can a client expect from Western Union Business Solutions Financial Specialist?
Say that again. What
can a client expect from Western Union Business Solutions Financial Specialist?
financial specialist? I think they should be able to expect a courteous person who can take their information and be able to help them with getting their transaction completed.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream
The District Knowledge Network.
and Capitol Hill Community Foundation.
I am your host, Deshaun Hughes Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
And have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. We done?
I started. Welcome to the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hughes Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
We are broadcasting live from Western Union's Business Solutions headquarters office in Washington, D.C.
Joining us as a guest on the show is Bill Tybal.
Mr. Tybal's role within the organization and the head of dealing for corporates and law firms.
Mr. Tybal has been in the role for a year, but has been managing various teams for the past 4 years.
Bill is due to Washington, originally from Chicago, and is married with 2 children, ages 4 and 12.
Mr. Tybal manages 12 dealers, client relationships managers, and 2 dealer support roles.
His job is to retain and grow Western Union's Business Solutions' current client base to ensure growth.
Mr. Tybal, thank you for joining us today on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
How is Western Union leading the way in innovation?
Well, Western Union is leading the way in several different ways. We as a company are a leader in what they call the NGO space, or non-governmental organizations. Through the Clinton Global Initiative, we've got some products that we help to facilitate those transactions. We've also got several products in queue or coming up soon that are extremely innovative in the way people process money or process payments. The industry is changing from a very batch-based process to a very real-time money transfer process, if you will. And we plan on being on the cutting edge of that. We also have a product that's won a few awards. It's called the Woo Edge. Edge essentially allows businesses to connect to each other, much like a Facebook or a Alibaba type of product does. So corporations can buy products from the network of people that they develop or companies that they develop and quickly send funds to those corporations to get their product back.
What are some of the new innovations Western Union is exploring?
Well, the first is certainly the Woo Edge, and like I said, that's been launched for about a year now. It's going through an evolution. We have a Scrum-based technology rollout, which is essentially every 2 weeks we offer a new release. That new release has added benefits for the clients. So that's certainly a very large and innovative product in terms of what we offer now. In terms of new products, we're expanding on that to include things like hedging, mass payments, the ability to upload large files in order to get those payments out of the door and into the hands of the various consumers or businesses.
How do you meet the needs of your customers?
Well, the very basic need that we meet is allowing our customers to send payments globally. Because of the size and scope of what Western Union can offer, we can allow people to send funds to 130 currencies, which is essentially 130 countries, but we can also send U.S. dollars well beyond that to 200, I believe it's 180 to 200 different nations around the world. So that effectively gives our clients a single point of contact to enable them to do that. Historically, businesses would have to have several banking relationships. We eliminate the need for them to have several relationships down to one, and we service them that way. But that's the very, very, very basic fundamental offering that we provide. It's just getting what we say we're going to get in terms of currency to wherever you tell us to get it to. Outside of just that basics, certainly pricing has a little bit of a play in there. Banks typically haven't serviced this sector very well, so we have kind of taken up what they've dropped off and service it very well. We have dedicated dealers. Scott Murphy Nielsen, you guys all know, is one of those dealers on my team that helps to provide tremendous customer service to our clients. And outside of pricing, customer service is probably the single most effective way to keep and retain clients. But it helps the client as well because they have a single point of contact, one person to go to.
Thank you.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream
The District Knowledge Network.
and the Capitol Hill Community Foundation.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hicks Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
And have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Wait till clear. Wait till the word clear.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network.
I'm your host, Deshaun Hicks Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney.
We are broadcasting live from Western Union Business Solutions headquarters office in Washington, D.C.
Joining us as a guest on the show is Shaniqua Henry.
Ms. Henry is responsible for the U.S. Financial Institution Oversight Program.
Ms. Henry has been with the company for 5 years and has had multiple compliance roles.
Her team is responsible for ensuring that Western Union Business Solutions financial institution clients maintain a compliance program that meets the anti-money laundering compliance industry standard.
While working with business partners to protect the company and clients from the bad guys, it is the mission of Western Union to move money for the better.
Ms. Henry takes pride in making sure people can receive their funds and not get taken advantage of by fraudsters.
Ms. Henry is a graduate of Harvard University, a mom to a wonderful 7-year-old boy, loves to travel, eat good food, and try new things.
Ms. Henry, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Excuse me.
Miss Henry, your child, how would you describe him? How your job is?
My job. Oh, that's a really good question. I would say that my job is challenging but rewarding. So as a compliance officer for the institution, one of many compliance officers for the institution, we are tasked with making sure that we understand the full flow of the money, right? And so in doing that, we have to make sure that we understand who's sending the money, who's receiving the money, and that we can document that within our systems, because we're responsible for making sure that we've done everything we can to prevent money or our services from being used for illicit activity, or what we say by the bad guys.
You have been with the company for 5 years. How does it make you feel working here?
No, I've been here for 5 years and I've seen a number of changes. I started out as a senior licensing analyst. We were Travel X Global Business Payments, and quickly progressed to a senior manager. And through the various changes and with my role as well as the company, I think we have evolved into a better organization. Certainly being acquired by Western Union, now we have like a real mission. It may sound kind of corny, but we'd like to make sure that we do what we can to get the money to the right people. And it makes me proud to work for an organization that takes pride in helping underserved communities, working in areas of the world that may not have access to financing, as well as foundations that help improve the lives of people in other countries. So I'm proud to work for the company.
Your words move money for the better. How would you explain the change?
Explain the change. Well, that's the motto of Western Union, because, like I said, we are able to get into areas where traditional banks wouldn't necessarily be able to. Some parts of the world that would be considered, higher risk. And so because we're able to get into those areas, we have an advantage. And because a lot of those areas are underserved, being a leader in the industry, we're able to help those people out. And so when the company says move money for the better, that's what they mean, getting money to places where it helps to finance local villages. Some areas they may not have access to water. And so our services allow certain areas to get access to water, get money to family members, to other countries. So I think when we're able to do that and help people, that's what they mean by moving money for the better.
Thank you.
Sure.
This broadcast has been brought to you by the Eliot Hine TV on Ustream
The District Knowledge Network.
and the Capitol Hill Community Foundation.
I'm your host, LaShawn Hicks Jones.
I'm your host, Princess Courtney, and
And
have a great day.
Thank you, guys. This is really cool.